As Big Pharma continues to grow and increase to billions and trillions of dollars in profit, we the people continue to become ill and even die. How can our government guarantee us healthy organic food when private interests like Bill Gates own over 200,000 acres of farmland and distributes to stores where our families shop? Time to reconsider your options. And you can do so at TheNaturalBranches.com. EBT and link friendly. The old guard of medicine has failed us. It's time we check our unbalanced lifestyles with a new balance, and we can do so. Fights cancers, heart disease, and inflammation. Prayer, fasting, and a natural, organic, plant-based diet. Our Creator did say His herbs are for our meat and medicine. It's time we checked our unbalanced lifestyles with a new balance, and we can do so at TheNaturalBranches.com.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn.
I deal with a little bit of excitement, when I get in front of people. This is one of the reasons why I enjoy it. I get very passionate. Sometimes I might even lose my train of thought a little bit. I'll go a little bit to left field, but I am going to try to keep it nice and direct today. And I do want to just say welcome everybody here. I want to give you a hand for taking the time to do something that's beneficial to you. I know there was an investment, and I plan on, walking you guys through this thing hand in hand, making sure that I am there to help you understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, how it affects us, how it's going to get us to our goal, and that's the most important thing for me. So, by the way, my name is Chef Solomon. I am the owner of here, the Natural. Well, actually, this is the American Podcast Information Network, but I am here about something that I'm very passionate about, and that is health and wellness overall. Myself, I was always pretty healthy overall, as a kid, very athletic. I really enjoyed jumping off of stuff, jumping on top of stuff, death defying stuff. I think I remember one time I was on a swing and I was trying to do a flip on a swing, and I'd done it right about 100 times. But the one time I told my mom to look at me, I went like super flying high. I tried to really do it, and I flipped over and I ended up breaking my arm in a certain way. And but that's the kind of kid I was. I was pretty in tune with things like that. So then fast forward now, still the same kid, still very energetic, still very active, still very engaged in everything that I do. They used to call me, I think it was ADHD or something like that. They made me feel like that was something bad, like, oh my God, I'm terrible, drug them up. But my mom didn't believe in that. She gave me an opportunity to work it out, and I worked it out. And I'm glad that I did, because that's part of what we're here doing, here for today, to work it out. There are things that, come in all of our lives, that keep us, to be honest, from the important things, and everything seems to be important in reality. But when we put things in perspective, we can kind of locate what is more important than other things, and the things that we should be working on every single day, without question, without excuses, without any distraction, with absolute care. And that is us, that's us. Everything that we're trying to be in life, everything that we want to be in life, is tied into how we treat ourselves, and we are at the condition of that state. So everything that we put in our body, whether it's in our mouth, whether it's in our ears, whether it's in our eyes, it is why we are who we are today. So today I want to narrow down though on health and wellness. It's something I'm passionate about, trying to eat right, trying to maintain a good cognitive function, trying to be able to solve my problems every day. And I got a lot of problems every day, like more than, sometimes they're very overwhelming. It makes me want to run away, but I stick my head in the guy and say, no. This is my life. This is me. This is what I have to do. I try to do that in different times in my life though. When I do it, when my diet is a bit off, I can see the difference in my decision making. I can see the difference in how I feel in my mornings, in my evenings, in my digestive system, in my breath, in my order, all these things I pay attention to. They're very important. They are how the body is communicating with me. So right now, what I would like to do, now that we're starting this off and I'm getting into my mode, I would like to take a couple deep breaths. I like to do this before I receive information and before I share information. I like to feed my brain oxygen specifically, not through my lungs, but through my nose. If you do find yourself with congestion, on a regular basis, I can tell you now that's some inflammation, there's some congestion. So I'm going to tell you some tips throughout this class here. It's not really a class. It's just really just a lecture in a sense, with some question and answer, sharing what I'm passionate about, sharing what I've come to know and experience in life. But with that said, if you find yourself with a congestion, that's a good thing to recognize, and then we work on it. There's a way to to remove this congestion from the system. Wherever that congestion may be, there's a way to fix things inside of our body. And the thing is, the body doesn't come with zippers, so you shouldn't be cutting things out all the time. You say, hey, just remove that. That's going to fix the problem. Hey, there's inflammation there. Just cut that out. That's going to fix the problem. But that doesn't work like that. What we consume is why our health is where it's at. So we're going to get educated on some of the things that we should be consuming, some food groups that we should be eating, and some food groups we should be avoiding. What times of the days we should be growing up, they give us school lunch. And that's not healthy, unfortunately. I know there's budgets and things that they have to consider, and I'm compassionate to all of it. But our children deserve better than that. That's for sure. So with that said, I'm going to get a little bit comfortable, because I feel too formal, even though I dressed up for the occasion, because I just wanted to share some information here. Again, so with that said, we're going to take a deep breath. And when I'm motioning with my arms, I'm being visual here, and I'm motioning in. That's when we're inhaling. We're going to try to take as deep of a breath as possible. And we should also practice this in the morning if possible. Start your day with some oxygen. That's the great way to go. And as far as the cells, they should get some water. That should be breakfast every day. Oxygen and water, especially coming out of a fast during a detox period, because in the morning the body wants to release what it has there. So we want to give it some water, give it some oxygen to move everything along, and get our stomach empty a bit. It's good to function with an empty stomach, because all your faculties and all the energy in your system is focusing more to your brain. Once you eat something, now we need oxygen to the digestive organs. Now we're taking oxygen out of the bloodstream, rerouting the bloodstream, and now you're trying to focus and process food at the same time. These things they don't teach us, but we want to pay attention to them, because they're going to make a difference in the caliber of decision making, that we have throughout the day. In each engagement, all the time where we're talking to someone, whether it's a small conversation or something you need to focus on, some type of chart, some type of deadline, it's really good to try to accomplish these things with a semi-empty stomach, not with a full stomach where your body is processing or wanting to go in itis mode, which is shut down. We're all familiar with that. I used to do it all the time, eat a ton of stuff, and then it's like, time to go, But with that said, let me go ahead and get to that deep breath, okay? So it's going to be through your nose. We're going to try to blow in, try to get it deeply, fill up the stomach, and then the focusing is just controlling the exhale. That's all it is. Controlling it and exhaling as slowly as possible as you could, and then repeating that a couple times. That'll just kind of wake the mind up, like they do a boxer when he's boxing at times. When he gets a rough time, they say, okay, breathe deeply through your nose, because they want him to regain his consciousness. They want him to understand what's going on versus just breathing through your lungs and, through your mouth and feeding your lungs versus your brain. So with that said, here we go. Okay. I like to control that. That helps me feel like I got back control. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to do that again, because I like to have more control than that. Now, that's better. At least for me, it is. All right. So with that said, okay. So we have 21 days of a regimen that we are about to partake in. That's exactly why we're here. I want to give as much as I can while we're here, but I do want to give instruction on what we're doing and how we're going to be doing it. So the first thing that we're going to start with is understanding the schedule a bit. We have the first 6 days, which will start tomorrow at sundown. Okay, tomorrow at sundown, Monday at sundown. And we're going to keep a sundown to sundown schedule, because in the sundown to sundown schedule, we're going to be trying to balance our entire daily flow. We're trying to get that circadian rhythm, so to speak, back. We're trying to get back. It's much as possible to go at the end of the 21 days, to be honest with you. And I know schedules might interfere with that. Let's do the best that we can. But it's going to be to get up as close to sun up as possible and to go to bed as close to sundown as possible, and just kind of keep the rhythm of the sun as we go through these winter months. You know what I mean? There's a reason for it, and I'll explain it as we go. But one of them is that we don't develop melatonin unless we're sleeping in the evening time. Okay. So the sun has to be down for it to actually develop, and we have to be asleep at that time. So a lot of people who sleep during the day suffer with not being able to stay asleep throughout the day because they lack melatonin. Okay, so what for us trying to capitalize on those evening hours when the moon is out? Why when the moon is out? Well, because the moon controls water. There's an energy that the moon has. You can see it when the moon is full. The waves are rushing back and forth. The waves all around the earth, really. That's some significant gravity. There's some significant power right there. The earth is about 73 to 76% water, and guess what? So are we. So if it can affect the earth like that, then it definitely affects us, okay? So we want to get ahead and get some sleep when we can, recharge that battery, so to speak. So try to start thinking about that in your schedules, that we're going to try to get to bed as early as possible, close to sundown as possible. We're trying to get up as close to sun up as possible. Again, just work around the schedule. If there's anything that we need to work out, we have Zoom sessions. Everyone can communicate with me in the email, and we can work it out that way. Now, with that said, we have the Zoom schedule. Everyone did get an email with a Zoom schedule. I believe the first session is going to be Tuesday at 8 a.m., Tuesday at 8 a.m. And if anybody does check and see if they didn't get or they don't recognize the email, make sure that you reach out to me so I can send that email over to you guys again, so you can have that schedule. It should be in the program guide, though. It should be an attachment that has the program guide, and it's one of those pages in the middle there, okay? That's when we're going to be communicating. Always gather your questions throughout your experience. If you need to just shoot off an email, that's fine. You can shoot off an email directly to me during the process of the time. If you need to figure out what to eat, limited on certain things, or schedule is getting a little funny, let's work it out. Let's make adjustments, but let's make smart adjustments. Let's not abandon the plan because we want to succeed in what we're trying to accomplish. And what we're trying to accomplish is to reset the algorithm of the entire body, mind, and spirit in reality. Do some deep cleaning within. And that's really going to bring about a lot of consciousness. The more, the more consistent we are, the cleaner we eat, the more conscious we are about what we put in our body, the more optimized we are, the more optimized we function, the more clear our thought, the more clear the right decision is. All these things play a part, and they just change the quality of our life, even to the level of peacefulness. There are chemicals and there are certain things and certain foods that affect us in a major way. So that's why one of the first things that we're going to do here is we're going to empty the colon. That's part of the class, and it's going to be a difficult and a challenging few days, but absolutely. But we're going to keep our head in it, and we're going to understand what we're really doing. At the end of the day, we're outwitting the devil for about 21 days. That's the goal here, okay? And we're looking at bad food like, demonize it. That's what it is. So to the point where we're not calling it food anymore, okay? There are certain things that are not on the non-inflammatory food list. We are not calling that food, okay? That's a very confusing term to tell ourselves about something, okay? Because we're triggered to eat food. We're triggered to want to eat food. We're programmed. We program ourselves and condition ourselves this with we've already been conditioned, and we carry this condition, but with that said, if you know something is bad for you, then we have to stop calling it a certain thing. If there's something that's hurting you in your life, you don't call it with an affectionate term consistently. That goes to people too, right? Like if just somebody's abusing you every day, you don't be like, hey, I love that. No, you don't. You say, hey, I hate that. I don't like that. because you're going to associate negative terms with things that have negative consequences or negative impactfulness to us. So I'll give you an example. One of the things that we're going to be cutting out during this 21-day process is chemicalized foods that aren't real, foods that don't grow naturally, God-given food that will grow in the wild on its own if no one went in there and did anything or manipulated anything in the ground, okay? That's what alkaline really is. Those foods that God has made, essentially, they're the ones who carry the most electricity. They're what they call living foods. That's what alkaline also means, electrical, by the way. So consuming these foods are going to be, the key for us cleaning the system out, for us getting the essential minerals that we need, the vitamins that we need, the nutrients that we need, regulating our hydration cycles, regulating our bowel movements. All of this is needed for us to perform as best. If we want to drive like a new car, you know what I mean? So we have to invest in that. We have to go within our mind, and we have to battle these challenges. Some of these challenges, most of these challenges are going to be, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. A lot of people actually are pretty successful at cutting out meat. Most people who try it, they kind of work it out, right? But that's not the number one culprit here. Not for us. This is not what we understand based on what we have come to know. The number one culprit for us is going to be what the body cannot process, okay? What the body cannot process. That means it's food that derives from some type of chemical. It's some type of agent. The most damaging that we understand to be is binders. Binders mean sticky stuff that cannot get through the intestines. Sticky stuff that cannot get through the intestines. All right? So write down number 1, write down number 2, write down number 3, because the first 3 they're especially damaging to us. They're especially damaging to men. They're especially damaging to women in a different way, and we're going to understand that here. The first one is going to be gluten. Gluten is a leavening agent that holds flour together. Gluten is a leavening agent that holds flour together. So gluten can come in the form of baking soda. Gluten can come in the form of baking powder. Gluten can come in the form of yeast. Okay? Those are the 3 common denominators there for gluten, okay? The second one that we're going to write down is going to be starch. Starch is particularly damaging when fried at a high temperature. So when you're deep frying starch, that's when you run into the most problems. Meaning French fries, meaning fried potato chips. They contain the highest amount of cancerous properties out of all of them, out of the gluten, starch, and the number 3 is going to be the dairy. The dairy. Yes, the dairy. No sad faces. No sad faces. That is part of the challenge, to do things joyfully. Because we're doing something for ourselves for the first time, for the second time. If we've been doing it quite some bit, it's good to stay consistent. So we don't want to look at these foods like with an affectionate tone whatsoever. We don't want to look at them like we miss them, like we don't want to let them go. We want to remind ourselves what the issue with them is. So let me start, okay? Gluten, yeast, baking soda, baking powder. This substance for women is particularly damaging because it doesn't process through the intestines for anyone, first of all. What that means is, if you ever notice when they make bread, they roll up the flour, they mix it with the water, and they make it into a pile of dough. This dough, normally, you can kind of roll out. You can whip it pretty good if you wanted to. You can add carbonated water to add a little fluffiness to it. You can even blend some of this dough, make some pancakes, and you can kind of find ways to make it fluffy, but we don't like that. We want really fluffy bread. We want the air in the bread, the soft cushiness of that. But the problem with that is when you have the dough and when you have the water and you mix it up, once you put that leavening agent in there and you try to roll that out, it's not going to break. You can stretch it like a pizza. You can throw it in the air. You can stick your finger through it. That's the moment the food became poison. That moment right there, because that's what you call a binder. That binder doesn't allow for that flour to process. So the intestines, they're very small. They're nice and squished up. The small intestine kind of goes like this, and it runs into a large intestine, which is supposed to come out of the body. But that gluten cannot get through the small intestine. So it creates what they call inflammation. We hear about this all the time. Inflammation is anything that goes in the body and doesn't come out in reality. Anything that goes in the body and doesn't come out, it's going to inflame the body. It's going to cause the body to gain weight. It's going to cause the body to clog itself up. It's going to cause the body to suffocate in a sense. Okay? This comes from gluten, especially dangerous though, because when it constipates men, we end up with things like colon cancer. We end up with things like hemorrhoids. We end up with all types of different, issues in the large intestine. For women, though, I would say it's probably the most poisonous substance. And I hate to say it like this, but I have to put things in the proper perspective for you to have an arsenal of information to battle the conditioned mind that's going to be craving for these foods as we go through these 21 days. Or the body is going to fight for what you told it was okay. What we gave it, what we've conditioned it, what we still speak affectionately of. So we have to be ready for this challenge. And we have to be ready to speak to ourselves immediately without negotiation and let ourselves know who the boss is in this case. And that applies for everywhere in our life, to be honest with you. So in this case, when we're saying, oh man, I need something that has some bread. I'm fiending for this thing, we have to get in the mind and say, no, we're not. That's the problem. You're the problem. You're the problem at the end of the day. So we've already made our decision. We're not having a discussion about it. We're not having a debate about it. I'm the boss. I'm invested. And we're going to see this through because we're going to succeed. Because we're not doing it on our own. We have a team. There are people who've done it already. You see, all the reasons why we should not throw it away. And then we keep on finding more reasons. That's how we should always talk to ourselves, by the way, because that's one of the issues. We often go into the wrong frame of mind. Our response to things, are not always logical, and we want to make sure that we put things in perspective. We want to understand why we just ate and we're already hungry. We have to understand these things. We can't just go with the flow and just feed the beast inside of us, so to speak. You understand? We have to have checks and balances. So with that said, the gluten, when it comes to the female counterparts, when that intestine is clogged up, when there's constipation in the system, that inflammation starts getting backed up. But that inflammation doesn't harden right away. It softens and it gets sticky because internally our bodies are 99, 97, 98, 99 degrees internally, okay? So and we're again 73 to 76% water. So that stuff just sticks around and it kind of floats around until it finds somewhere to get stuck at, somewhere to get hard at, something, usually it'll end up on the joints for the most part. A lot of people suffer with arthritis. That's inflammation in the joints. So it'll stick around there. But for women though, the first outlet are the fallopian tubes and the ovaries. That's how they get clogged up. So we have to remember this. We have to, that reproductive area should always be taken care of because it manages the hormonal system. Okay. You want to be level-headed. You want to, regularly. You want to be peaceful. Just the various, changes that you guys go through, especially if you guys still, go through your stuff every month. And this is all ages event, so we're going to keep it. So that's very important, though. I as far as my experience in life, I have not seen that regularly taught in hospitals and regularly taught, say, hey, keep the reproductive system clean. You don't want to inflame the womb. You don't want to, put your baby in an unhealthy situation where if they get too much inflammation during development can cause autism, things like that. Or, you can end up with, what 80% of the women in our community suffer with today, some type of discharge issue like UTI, yeast infection, cysts, fibroids, endometriosis. These are all various conditions that happen because we clog the system up and the body has to release it somewhere. So it releases it through the urinary tract because the reproductive system shares the urinary tract as the birth canal. Okay. So this is how the body communicates with us. It's not something wrong. It's just a simple communication. That's what's going on. The body just spoke to you and said, hey, we need to clean it up. And at that point, we need to do what we're about to do today. We need to stop eating. We need to, tomorrow night, by the way, we need to stop eating. We need to flush the digestive system out, empty the intestines. It takes about 48 hours to empty the intestines. We want to empty it. I don't know if you guys ever fasted that long before, but if you haven't, that means you've never went without something in your stomach for a long period of time, for years and years and years and years. It's about time we get that reset. And then when we're done emptying it, we're going to clean it out. We're going to flush it out. We're going to run a bunch of natural liquids through the system. And that is going to help us regulate our bowel system. That is going to help us remove inflammation from the system. That's going to kick off our metabolism. It's going to give us a little bit more energy. And then we have to feed off of that. We have to maintain that, Now, because what's coming is the gas station, and the cookies and the creams. We have to understand these things. So we have to have a preemptive strike. It's what I would consider it. We have to have things around already that we can kind of snack on, that we can kind of, eat on throughout the process of this time so that we can get into what I call a safe space, and that's home, So ultimately, this is the process, and this is what, this is the mind frame we want to enter into this with. We want to be hypersensitive to what we're experiencing. Some of you guys might have, some type of withdrawal symptoms, like, but we have to work through these things. As long as we're hydrating ourselves, we're, consuming nutrition, we're getting what we need to be, we're going to turn it around. After the 18th hour of a fast, the body starts developing an accelerated rate of ketotonins. Ketotonins help the body function. It kind of manipulates itself into whatever the body needs. A person can actually live off ketotonins for about 40 days. Imagine that. Yeah, and that's scientifically proven. I actually have the source to that. I posted that. I believe it's in our Instagram page. If anybody would like to, follow up with me on that, I would give that to you. It's a whole lecture that scientist, and he's a scientist, and he's also I believe he has a few pretty elaborate titles that go along with it as far as his studies. But the body can actually live off ketotonins for 40 days. So we have to get past the small little discomfort of not having food in our stomach. There's actually a fear that happens usually when we realize that we're hungry, and we really act impulsively because the chemical the chemical balances of the something like gluten, something like starch, or something like dairy, they're much more effective in our system than something natural would be. That's the difference between chemicals and something natural. Chemicals will affect you right away. You can put something toxic in your system and you can die in minutes, in seconds sometimes, But natural products don't work the same way. We have to be consistent with them. But once we're consistent with them, because the blood is accumulative, that means it builds antibodies, it prepares itself, it brings its ratios up higher and higher the better that you do, so that if you do miss a day or two doing something healthy, then you're not going to have a negative reaction to it. The body is going to maintain its health levels until you get back on it. And then you can always supplement. Now, as far as the 6 days initially right now, it's going to begin. The first day is going to begin with all water. We're going to hydrate the body. There's not an exact amount that you're going to be drinking. What you're going to be doing is maintaining a flow of water. It's going to be a flow of water. How do you do that? Well, you wake up in the morning, and the first thing you want to do is, after you receive some oxygen, you want to drink 24 to 32 ounces of water, okay? You don't have to do it all at one time. I suggest that you don't. You spread it out within a few hours, maybe 4 ounces here, 4 ounces there, like a couple margarita shots in the morning, kind of doubles. I forgot this is all ages. I got to remind myself now, But you have that consistent flow of water in the morning, because what you want to do is you want to induce a urination. You want to induce a bowel movement. You want to remove the rest of the toxicity that is in your system that your body was collecting while you were sleeping overnight. The body has a good ability to do that, because when we sleep, we lay horizontal, so our body is not, fighting gravity into the same extent. The body is laying flat like this, so it allows the body to detox very well during this period of time. That's why in the morning we usually wake up, the urine is pretty yellow, everything is ready to come out. It's a great time to have a nice stretch, to have a nice few push-ups, a few sit-ups, a few jumping jacks, something to kick the metabolism, to induce a little bit of a sweat, to open the pores out in the body, and to release toxicity, because we all have toxicity. It takes a time to clean the body out properly. So that's one of the things that we're going to want to do in the morning. I'm not going to suggest we do it on day one, obviously, but when we get into our rhythm, I'll let you guys know when that's going to be a green light. So day one is going to be all water. Every time that you urinate, that's when you're going to drink another water. Every time water comes out of your body, then water is going to come back into your body. That's your body speaking to you. We have to remember what is the body saying when it does what it does. Okay, I have to use the washroom. Okay, I have to remove toxicity from my system. Let me give you some more water to do it again. And just maintain a flow of water, okay? A flow of water. That's what you're going to want to do on day one. Maintain that flow of water. And every time the negative Nancy inside of our head says, hey, man, this is getting hard, you say, hey, you be quiet. You be quiet. We're not listening to you. We just got started here. We just got started. And you're going to find something. You're going to find that after you get into about that 18th hour, you're going to find that you like how you feel. You'll see that. You're going to find in your mind, you're going to find that you're a bit elevated. You're going to be a bit stimulated mentally, normally just, and we want to keep that buzz going. I often find it around that time. And then at that point, I don't want to eat sometimes. I say, oh man, I just feel so good. My body's just functioning. But again, I do feed my body regularly, cleanly, so that's going to be one of those benefits that you're going to be able to take advantage of when we get that regulation going. So day 2 is going to be no food, no water. We want to empty the intestines and dehydrate them a bit. We want for them to empty as much water as we can out of the system, because we are about to flush it out. We're going to flush it out with more water after that second day. Okay, so that second day, stay out of your head. That's the key. Just stay out of your head. Like the stomach is okay. The stomach is finally resting. The stomach finally doesn't have to, the kidney finally doesn't have to clean something. The liver finally can rest a little bit. It doesn't need oxygen right now. It's resting a little bit. It hasn't done that, and we have to do that, So that second day, we're going to stay out of our heads. We're going to communicate. Okay, we're going to communicate. We're going to read the literature. We're going to demonize all foods. We're going to do whatever we have to do in our mind to benefit ourselves and to stay on our goal and to stay on track, okay? Because after that second day, and we're going sundown to sundown, so don't forget. So Monday, as of sundown, that's why we have this amazing food here today. We're going to eat some of this. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to wake up in the morning. We're going to start drinking water. We're going to start preparing ourselves, hydrating ourselves, and getting our body ready to start cleaning itself and flushing itself. And every single day, we're going to renew our spirit, and we're going to wake up strong, and we're going to get going, and we're going to reach out to somebody if you need somebody. And we're going to log into the Zoom sessions that come on about 8 in the morning for the most part on various days. Check the program for the schedule there. So this is going to be important. This is going to be important that we start this off on the right foot. It's going to be important that we don't compromise in the first 1, 2, and 3 days. Because once we get past that, it's really smooth sailing, because we're going to really, show you a different way of eating, and we're going to keep you fulfilled with the options that we're going to have. You're not going to have to overeat. You're going to stop yourself, and you're going to say, okay, that's enough. Because the body is going to recognize the level of nutrition of the food items that we're consuming. In the beginning, yeah, you might be like, I really want that. Yeah, and then we get back in the head and we just shut that down, okay? And I'm gonna mention a few triggers in a second here that we want to watch out for on that respect, okay? So now, second day is over with. Now we're famished, and that was great. Our digestive system is low. We probably dropped about, I guarantee you, everyone, if you want to get on the scale tonight and check after that 48 hour on the second day, you're probably going to drop about 6 to 10 pounds. Try me. Send me over a picture of a scale and stay disciplined. Okay? Stay disciplined. And you'll be surprised at what you can accomplish. You'll be surprised at what a couple of days of just cleaning the body out and flowing and just moving along will do for you. Okay? So try me. Send me an email with a picture of the scale. And if I'm wrong, I'll figure out a way to make it beneficial for you. Okay? But you have to do your part. Don't mess around. Don't be like this on the scale, okay? We're not doing that, okay? So that's the end of day 2. Now we're going to hydrate ourselves. We're going to flush liquids through our system. We're going to replenish our cells. We're going to replenish the bloodstream. We're going to hydrate the digestive tract. We're going to hydrate the digestive organs. So how do we do that? With water. We're going to start back with water. Every day we start with water. Every day we start with oxygen and water. Day 3 is going to be oxygen and water starting off. And then what I would suggest is to get into a nice tea. Something high with antioxidity. Everyone has a pack of very, very nice combination of herbs that are made to clean the entire digestive tract. So everyone does have that in the packet that we have next door. Remember, when we're done here today, stick around so we can get your packets to go, okay? So with that, day 3, we're going to clean the body out. We're going to start with water. We're going to go right into some tea. And then we want some more water, to kind of, get that tea going, get that antioxidity from the tea going. It's probably going to make you urinate at an accelerated level, and that's okay. The body is working properly. You urinated much quicker than normally because your body's a little bit more clean, it's a bit dehydrated, so that water is going to rush through you, and that's a good thing, okay? If anyone finds that it's a delayed urination, it's like, hey, it's the afternoon, I've been drinking water and I haven't gone or anything like that, let me know right away, That's not going to be, in my opinion, something to be concerned about, but you're going to see within the first hour or 2, you should be getting it going, okay? That's the case in, so far, 100 times, that we've done this fast, and we've done it a couple times annually already. So that's day 3. Now, outside of the tea, we are also going to be consuming fresh squeezed juices. For example, you can make like key lime juices, a little spring water, a little agave, a little key lime juice. You can get something freshly squeezed somewhere. There's a little store right here down the street that I go to that they have the little machine there, the juicer. If I'm a little bit too busy and I don't get it done around my house, I'll stop in there and make sure that I don't neglect it, though. I always know the nice little spots around the neighborhood that I can go to. I know all the smoothie shops, all the juice spots, all the places that got mushroom tacos and stuff like that. I always keep my mind open for them. Yeah. Italian spots. I think about these things all the time because I do want to eat. And sometimes I'm on the hustle and bustle, and I'm not willing to sacrifice my health over some food. If that's the case, I'll just wait. But I do, I will lack if I don't educate myself. So if I don't study my environment and know what's where, then I'm always going to be, in that position. So at least give myself the best opportunity to study my environment a bit, see what I can utilize, what's healthy for me in my environment, find all the restaurants, all the stores where I can get specialized foods and things that I can consistently buy to keep it in my refrigerator or keep things fresh. That's going to be important. So if you guys do have a spot like that, Mariano's does fresh squeezed juices and stuff like that, in your area, maybe Whole Foods might, have a little bar like that where they can do that. Try to take advantage of something like that. If you do have it at home, try to juice with high water-based fruits, seeded watermelon. I put significance on the word seeded there. We want to make sure that things are natural. To be alkaline, you have to be natural. To be electrical, to work cognitively the way that it's supposed to function genetically the way that it's supposed to. So a genetically modified food, something that doesn't have a seed, doesn't technically have a place of origin, because a seed is the beginning of something. It's the beginning of the life. So if it grows up without seed, then that means there was some type of involvement, some type of interference in the growing process. So if it's genetically modified, then clearly it's going to modify the genetics, because our body is looking for certain codes in the food. It recognizes the nutritional value, the mineral density. It recognizes the vitamin intake and all that. So when you start feeding it a food, it will confuse it. It tastes like watermelon. It has fiber like watermelon. I eat it like watermelon. It must be watermelon. But without that seed, the code that's in the water and the H3O of the watermelon is different than the code that would be in the H3O or the water of a seeded watermelon. So it's kind of like, and this is going to be an extreme example, and we can use it in different various ways, but someone who gets stuck on drugs, I'll use an extreme one, heroin. If you do it, your body will respond in an aggressive way to it would be like poison. It would throw up. It would, it would go through this withdrawal stage right away to reject it. But if you force it on it, or if you consistently find a way to consume it, the body will ease up. The immune system will ease up on it, and it will accept it. And if you take it every day, you would condition it. And then if you one day decide that you don't want to take it anymore, then the body is going to argue with you. It's going to fight you. It's going to say, no. This is our thing. This is our thing. And if you don't give it to me, I'm going to function like this. And, some people have aggressive, bowel movements, throw up and things like that. That's an extreme example. But in this case, we're reconditioning our DNA so that when we actually get a seeded watermelon, our taste buds is going to be off of that. It's going to be different. We've conditioned it to eat something else. Just like when we take the gluten away right now, our body is going to have a certain reaction to it, and we're going to have to put it in check. Outside of the gluten, let's pay attention to a few of these starches that are going to have to go from out of the diet. The first one is going to be rice. Write that down, please, because writing that down helps your cognitive function. It helps you engrave it in your system. It helps you experience it on a deeper level, the information that you're receiving versus just hearing it with your mouth. You're actually writing it down. So your brain's going to have more opportunities to find that experience when it's won a battle and do well, and to remember certain things. So rice, whether it's white rice or whether it's brown rice, these are starch rices, okay? We want to replace starch grains with whole grains. Starch grains should be replaced with whole grains. What are whole grains? Whole grains maintain a complete molecular structure. Whole grains maintain a complete molecular structure. What that means is that there's no break in the structure. It's entire. It's whole. That means it's not going to disintegrate inside of your body, okay? Now, a starch grain does not maintain a complete molecular structure. Therefore, it disintegrates in the body. And you can see it fairly easy when you cook starch. You can just squeeze a piece of rice, it'll turn into mush. You squeeze a bean. Bean looks like a mini potato inside of it, just disintegrates. You don't have to chew it, put it in your mouth, it kind of melts away in there. But what happens is it turns into glue in the system. That's what they make Elmer's glue out of. People don't know that. Yeah, they make Elmer's glue out of starch. Yeah, the school glue. Now think about what the glue does. You stick it up on the wall and it holds something from this side to that. It's a binder. How do you know if you have binders in your system? Your poop will hold itself together. That's a really a visual indicator every single day. When you have a bowel movement, if it's holding itself together, if it's not kind of toothpastey, kind of loose stoolish, then you have a binder in the system, something that's sticky. What is the problem with these binders, the gluten and the starch? Well, because the body is warm, it's like putting pasta in the pot. Your body will start hardening it. And that's when it's called plaque. The process of plaque is calcification. So if this inflammation that doesn't process through the intestine covers starts floating around and it's running into your liver, and it starts, getting all over your liver, and then it's there for long enough, the system, will heat it up for that period of time, and it will harden. Now you have a fatty liver. All right, you have inflammation surrounding your liver. If it hardens on a cell, it can dry that cell up all the way through, and it can be the birth of a cancer. This is why this is important. This is why it's extremely damaging to us. So that's why we're going to be taking these out of the diet. Later on in the Zoom sessions, as we communicate, I'll let you know what we can do and what we can't after, and to do what you want to do in a smart way, But we do have to reset the algorithm. We do have to reset the body, okay? So day 3, we're going to be flushing the body out, a lot of liquids. We're going to, urinating regularly. It's going to be great. And then in day 4, and keep in mind, we're going sundown to sundown, sundown to sundown, sundown to sundown. Then day 4, we're going to be soft fibers. So like smoothies, we're going to have something like that. We're also going to have something like soft soups. Zucchini, squash, eggplant, something that has some soft fiber, some water in it, because we want those fibers after we have hydrated the body, dehydrated the body, hydrated the body, gave the body nutrition, we're flushing the body out. Now we want to brush fiber up against the intestines. We want to brush fiber up against the cell walls, and we want to actually clean them out. Because they are going to get through the intestines, they're going to brush up against those cell walls, and they're going to clean your intestines out. That's going to be extremely important in your health. Your metabolism is going to shoot through the sky around this day. You're going to enjoy it very much. You just got to stick with it, okay? Then on day 5, after we eat these soft fibers, we're going to eat all raw foods. I'm going to send you guys over some emails with some examples of some raw dishes that you guys can make. Plenty guacamole, plenty mushrooms. You can marinate the mushrooms ahead of time. You don't have to cook them out like that. There's various dips that we can make where you can have different vegetables, plenty fruits, plenty greens, plenty salad. These things we want to keep in mind. We want to have a balanced diet. Through these first 6 days, we're not going to be consuming seeds, nuts, or grains for the first 6 days. Okay, that's going to be the cleaning period. Once we're done with these 6 days, then the seeds, the nuts, and the grains are going to be back into the diet. That's one of the reasons why we have a heavy grain meal here today, okay? Now, that's going to be day 5. Then day 6, which is the last day of the intestinal cleanse, we're just going to flush the body one more time with one last water cleanse, and then we'll get into the full alkaline list. Inside our packets, we have a non-inflammatory food list that is going to contain all of the food groups that we're going to be working with, and they're going to consist of fruits, vegetables, greens, nuts, seeds, grains, herbs, and oils, okay? That's what we're going to be consuming these next 21 days. For the most part, we're going to be avoiding glutens. We're going to avoid the starches, okay? Other starches to avoid: beans. Okay, beans are starch. Okay, they're going to cause stickiness in the system. Beans starch is particularly aggressive or pops up in fibroid checks. Fibroid is pretty much hardened starch. That's how it gets to there. If you ever seen a fibroid, it's just a white, hard lump at that stage because that starch just getting cooked and it has a a root to it and it just gets hard. And then every layer just hardens and hardens and hardens on the cell wall and it creates those issues there. So we want to make sure that we remind ourselves of that. Before we when that craving kicks in. Man, I would like a French fry, or I would like this and that. Remind yourself, no, you don't want that. You don't want them kind of problems. We really don't. We're in the process of cleaning ourselves. And then we remind ourselves all these positive things that we've been talking about, and we question ourselves and say, hey, why are you that hungry anyways, by the way? What triggered that, by the way? Let's talk about it. We're not going to just do anything. We're not just going to, hey, there it goes. Let me, pull in. It's kind of tricky, because there's so many triggers that we have to deal with. Let me tell you, listen, when I was in kindergarten, they taught me specifically that I can remember 3 colors: green, yellow, and red. Okay. The green they taught me meant go. Is that what they taught you guys? Anybody here have the same experience? Green means go? Yeah? Okay. Yellow means what then? Slow down. Okay. And red means stop. I've been taught this since I was a young kid. And throughout my entire life, I've watched everyone function with these colors around them, managing them, assisting them in managing themselves. Because if there's a red light and you pass that red light, you can do yourself a lot of harm. So we understand how important it is to pay attention to these colors. If you're too close to the car in front of you and they hit the brakes too fast and you see the red lights pop up and you're kind of close to them, you know what's coming, right? Yeah. That red light was an indicator and you know the significance of it. Literally, it's very deep inside of us in our cognitive function, okay? To the point where marketing companies spend billions of dollars a year to make colorful things look wonderful and as a way of selling their product, but their product itself is extremely damaging to us, okay? To the point where there's actually some legislation that bans certain cigarette boxes from having certain colors around certain schools because they feel like they're promoting smoking to children because they know the colors are attractive. Because we are human beings and we're designed to be attracted to colorful things. It's in our cognitive function. So when we're driving down the street and a company like McDonald's gets to put their sign higher than anybody else, 3 stories in the sky, with the brightest yellow and red light, slow down and stop. That's all I saw. Because if you understand how people are wired, and I'm telling you, they spend billions of dollars on behavioral studies. If you're online, you're being studied. I'm telling you now. You already know it. I know you guys have mentioned something out loud and got an email about it 2 minutes later. They listen to everything. They understand what they're doing, So when you're driving by and you weren't really hungry initially, but then you see and you're like, oh, well, I know I'm already here. There has to be a whole conversation that happens before that moment. And you have to ask yourself right away, like, first of all, when was the last time I ate? Did I poop it out? Like, is there still food literally in my stomach right now? Like, literally, ask yourself. It's a simple question to ask, but it's going to be impactful if you do it every day. There may come with some guilt when you're doing wrong, but let that feed you, Turn that mirror around, and as hard as it is, stay focused. Everything is going to come into focus if you just keep working it out, okay? The image will get clear, but you got to do what's best for you. I'm telling you, this is the maximum, in my opinion. Taking care of your health is the highest expression of self-love, the highest expression. Nothing else is more important. No one else can give you more value. And when we turn to healthy foods, to plant foods, when we turn to nature, I'm telling you, we turn to God. He made that stuff for us, you know. So this is part of the time where I start getting carried away. I start going to left field, you know, because I'm grateful. I'm grateful that we understand these things. I'm grateful that we know how to clean ourselves out, you know. I'm grateful that we get to understand that we have a body that we can live our life out through, but we're also a conduit, literally, between the sun and the earth. We're literally a conduit. We're energy. And with that, well, that means we're a vessel. What is a conduit? It just transfers energy, right? So that's all we are. When we speak and everything that we express and all the various ways we express it. Some people express it through art. You know, my mom and Ashaya here, they expressed it through cooking today. Okay? They expressed their love. They expressed their care through cooking today, through recipes and things that you guys are going to get, by the way, in the email. Just be on the lookout for it. So that's what we are. So we're a body, yep, we can live our life through it, but we're also a conduit. We're a vessel. That means we can be used for positive things, but then we're also a temple for a higher self to dwell within. We have to do what's best for our highest self. There's always a voice inside of us telling us it's wrong. We know there it is. We probably bury it all the time, and we make it as low as possible because we want to do what we want to do, and we want to live we want to live how we want to live. But there's a voice there that we have to be attentive to, because it's actually going to show us the way, and it's showing us the way to what you actually want to experience. You just don't know it yet. We're expressing ourselves the wrong way by trying to eat food because we're, it's like, oh man, it just tastes so good. It's making me feel so full. Yes, it does, because it fills up your stomach, but it doesn't fulfill you. You see what I'm saying? So that it can't feed you what you need to optimize your thinking. That means you can't truly be fulfilled when you're functioning off of acidic things. You know? These are things that we want to tell ourselves. These are the conversations that we want to have when we're sitting around on the way home and want to take a night off of cooking, you know? Listen, there's nothing wrong with not eating here and there. There's nothing wrong with getting hungry and not doing anything about it. Say, it's okay. Calm down, little buddy. You're all right. There's a lot of information in there. We're going to work on that, because that's what happens. When you don't actively put something in your digestive tract, the body will find sources of energy within you, and it usually starts with inflammation. That's why people start getting skinny when they start eating less. Because the more they work past that hunger, the more inflammation the body uses up to consistently function. And little by little, as they eat healthier and that inflammation moves out of the way, that groggy morning turns into a pepped up morning, because the body's going from eating inflammation to eating nutrition. And now it's feeding off of living foods versus the fat of something or, a chemical base. Now, that is our first 5, and then the 6th day is going to be a full flush. After that, we go into our full regiment. We'll discuss more on that on the Zoom sessions. I don't want to hold you guys too much longer, but with that said, I do want you guys to reach out to me consistently in the email. Is everyone here getting my emails? I know Miss Johnny said everyone was getting them. Okay, wonderful. No, make sure you leave the email here. So I can, anybody here who hasn't gotten the email or not getting the emails, leave the email here, so I can go ahead and forward you all the previous communication and then get you going on everything moving forward, okay? Now, 21 days, it's on my end, I've gotten used to doing this throughout the year a few times. I try to stay, my goal is to stay like this all the time, to stay with the healthy regimen consistently every single day, because I want to be the best that I can. I've invested a lot in everything that I want to express in life, and I want to do well at it, And I know we all do the same thing. We're going to have a moment here for question and answer shortly, but I'll make sure I get to all the questions there, all right? But with that said, I just want to make sure a couple more pointers out of things that are important before I wrap this up. One of them is the additional starch is going to be the potatoes. Okay, write this down. The potatoes got to go. The French fries, all the mashed potatoes. Uh, no, I'm actually bringing you back to life. You see why how we speak about things matter. Keep that in mind. This is wonderful. That's not food, anyways. Okay, that's not food. We have to remind ourselves what we're doing here, and we have to remind ourselves what it is that we're working off. We don't want to use affectionate terms for things that are bad for us. So, in respect, I would look at the potatoes, and I'll say, okay, that's exactly why I'm in the condition that I'm in. I hate what it does to me. I hate the fact that I can't live a normal life. I hate the fact that every now and then I'm in the hospital. I hate the fact that I wake up the way that I wake up, or that I can't sleep, or that I'm going through this, or when I'm going through that. That's what we need to be telling ourselves when we have a craving like that. The cravings will go away. We just have to take control. We literally have to take control of the mind. We have to quiet the mind. We have to let them know who's in charge. So when those cravings come, you say, hey, we're not doing this with you today. We're not even talking about it. Because if I talk about it and I entertain it, I leave room for you to for yourself to convince yourself. You understand? That's what you leave room for ultimately. So you say, no, we're not even discussing it. We've already made up our mind. We're not doing it. Turn left. Keep going. Just go. Discipline yourself. You deserve it. You deserve it. Like, why wouldn't you take the most care of yourself right now? Why don't we deserve it? Why do we do for everyone else no matter what, but then it's time to give ourselves something beneficial for us? We have to have guilt, or we're afraid of it, or we're doubtful of it. No, we shouldn't. We don't have to live like that. We can literally take control of our thinking, and that's going to determine everything. We adult ourselves. I tell that to people all the time. It's time to adult yourself. It's time for you to tell yourself you can't have that. Because we somehow think that when we get to a certain age, because it's often taught to us too. We're often taught to fly the coop real fast. Get out here and experience the world. And we're often at the mercy of it throughout all our life. That's not how we should function. So we want to take care of ourselves. We want to show care to ourselves. We want to make sure that we don't put anything bad in our system. That's how we prove that we love ourselves. Otherwise, it's just jibber jabber. To be honest, we do that. We'll say we're going to do something, and then 2 o'clock in the morning, we're struggling with it. We have to have a conversation about it. We have to talk about it internally first, right then and there. It can't wait. It can't wait. You're going to treat yourself good, period. That's what you have to say to yourself. Conversation over. You deserve it. You'll thank me later. The future you deserves that. There's someone 10 years from now waiting for you to make good decisions right now. You would love to be 10 years from now in a good position. Why wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Of course. So this is what we have to do today. We have to work for ourselves. We have to care for ourselves with carefulness. Take time. We should not be eating on the go. I don't know what I'm going to put in my body today. That doesn't work. That we shouldn't think like that. Other things are not more important. There's conversations we entertain all day long. There's scrolling. There's 8 million things that we do when we could be thinking about ourselves and thinking about what our next move is for us to be in better health, to be in a better position at work, to be in a better position at home, to have better communication with this person and that person. And it all begins with how you're taking care of yourself. And this is on my end. I get hard on myself sometimes, but that's okay. I need to be, because if I'm not, I'll tell myself a fib in a minute. It's okay, just do it this time. Then my stomach hurts. Then I can't get up in the morning. No, I don't want to go through that. And there's people watching us. I know there's people care about us. I know you guys know the people around you that need you. We can't put ourselves in a position we're not thinking about them. I'm trying to give you guys the arsenal that you need mentally to fight the battle that's mental, because that's what it boils down to. Controlling that conversation, we're going to stay on course. Communicating, talking to each other. When you run out of positive things to say, call me. I'm going to tell you an hour of positive things about you. Okay? We'll get right on the Zoom. Absolutely. That's what needs to happen. Until you understand that it's the truth about you. Because we can dictate who we want to be in life. All we have to do is put some effort into it. The Bible says that if you do anything that you do it with all your might, all your strength, all your will, all your mind. Do it like you're doing it to the Most High. This is us. This is our moment to care for ourselves, to set an example for how we should be cared for as well. By the way, I do want a quick warning, red flag to pay attention, folks. And I don't mean this in a bad way to anyone that may be in your environment. But I want you to tell everybody that you care about what you're doing. Reach out to them. If you have to, call them on the phone and hear their voice and let them hear the tone of your voice and let them know, hey, I want to accomplish this. I deserve it. Help me accomplish this. This is what I'm doing. Explain it to them. That way you'll engrave it in your own mind again. Go through the process. Explain it to them. So you can, condition yourself with the information again. We have to train ourselves to do right. And then, after you let them know and they're happy about it, I just want you to be aware of everything. Not just people. Of yourself, of your own habits, of your own tendencies, of your own spontaneous thoughts. Be ready to battle yourself right away. I'm waiting on a stupid thought. I just be walking around waiting on one. I do. Throughout the day, I know it's coming. I know it's going to show up sooner or later. And I'm ready for it. That stupid thought is going to either make me waste my time, waste my money, waste my health. It's going to have some type of negative impact. That's how you identify that it's a stupid thought. You see? Even if it's something that I think is going to be good for me, I know better. Shouldn't be based on how it makes me feel either. That's the problem. I want to feel good when I eat like this. No. When we eat well, we can actually get to all the euphoria you want. It's there. You feel great. That's why all these people who eat so healthy and all the training, they're all chippy in the morning. And they're in their zone. They're in their moment. They're engaged. The body is functioning. It's electrical. They're doing their thing. We got to get there. We got to unclog the body. We don't really need doctors like that. We need plumbers. We need to unclog the body. We need to stop eating the stuff that's clogging the body up. We need to flush the body out. We need to let it breathe. We need to breathe in the morning. We need to drink water in the morning. We need to eat fruits and vegetables and greens, nuts, seeds, and grains. We need to tune in. Why are we tuned out? Why is everything so important? So keep that in mind. All right. As we go into this 21 days, I think I've taken up a lot of you guys' time already. You guys have been very patient. We have the food right there. I can't wait to serve you. This is really what it's all about, servitude. I look at myself as a public servant. I love to do whatever I have to do, to make a positive impact, to share what we've come to know. And if you guys need additional help, if you guys know anyone who is trying to get on a positive road, in a positive journey that needs positive people, that wants to hear positive, words and positive sounds and have positive vibes, and bring them by. That's what we're all about at the end of the day, okay?
As Big Pharma continues to grow and increase to billions and trillions of dollars in profit, we the people continue to become ill and even die. How can our government guarantee us healthy organic food when private interests like Bill Gates own over 200,000 acres of farmland and distributes to stores where our families shop? Time to reconsider your options. And you can do so at TheNaturalBranches.com. EBT and link friendly. The old guard of of medicine has failed us. It's time we check our unbalanced lifestyles with a new balance, and we can do so. Fights cancers, heart disease, and inflammation. Prayer, fasting, and a natural, organic, plant-based diet. Our Creator did say His herbs are for our meat and medicine. It's time we checked our unbalanced lifestyles with a new balance, and we can do so at TheNaturalBranches.com.
Anyone have anything that they would like to ask? Anything about the food? Anything about the program while we eat a little bit? Or if everyone just wants to focus on the food, that is okay. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I love to hear it. I love to hear it. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And we have to go. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am. Sweet potatoes during these first 6 days, yes. Sweet potatoes, although it does have a starch concentration, it's a complex carb. It's different than starch. And one of the reasons is because of the change of color. That change to purple means it has more carbon. It's healthy for us, and that's one of the things that we have to pay attention about our foods. When it changes colors, it means something. There's a change of antioxicity that's going on inside the food. So there's a saying that says, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice, and it's kind of, or the darker the berry, the deeper the root. That's kind of the truth. That's actually literally the truth. The darker the food, the more carbon it has, the more natural it is to the earth, the more natural it is to the environment, the more it feeds the oxygen in your bloodstream. So we always want, and we can see a lot of food that is void of color is not very good for us. When you don't have a complete molecular structure, you often lose the color. So that's why the inside of a bean is white, right? Rice is right. The inside of a potato, although the outside of the bean could be a lot of different colors, the property of the bean is white because it's not a whole grain. It's just, it's going to disintegrate. So it has that property versus something like a chickpea. You see how hard a chickpea is? Even when you cook it, it doesn't really mash like that. You have to blend it to make hummus. But that's a whole grain. That's a difference between a chickpea or like if you had wild rice or quinoa. In a few days, you guys this will be exiting our system, and it's going to be a good cleanse, to be honest with you, but that's how you know that it's a whole grain, because it doesn't disintegrate in our system. It goes through the entire digestive process. It cleans the intestinal walls. It cleans the large intestine. It keeps our cells open enough to absorb nutrition. So this is why it's important to eat in this way. All right. I like it. You ate already? Oh, you're gonna get there in a minute. Yep. There you go. How you doing there, Miss Johnny? You all right there? Yes, ma'am. He'll be okay. That's the first thing. No, he will. The sugar might drop slightly, and it might drop to a certain extent, but once that 18th hour hit, by the way, you will regulate. Ketotonins will burn as sugar if needed, and the body will resort to inflammation in the system, which is also going to be sugar. That's how it burns. So, it's a carb. It's either a carb or a sugar. It's something, to that extent. So it's going to feed the sugar that's in the blood already. But for a diabetic, that means he has too much sugar concentration in the blood overall. It's probably, is it like what, type 2 diabetes or something like that? And is there a certain, is it accelerated? Where is he? Is he pre-diabetic, or how long has he been diabetic for? Okay, at least 5 years. Okay, so I mean, the body does need some cleaning. We need to open the cells up. We need to run oxygen through his bloodstream, which is going to be called iron. He's going to need plenty iron. But one thing about diabetes, you'll never get rid of it without getting rid of starch. Starch is always going to process like sugar. That's exactly what it is. So Asians do something that's smart, and then but it bites them in the back end. And let me explain. They eat rice every day. They eat rice every single day, but they do understand food groups. They don't eat rice with cheese. They don't eat rice with meat a lot of times. Sometimes they do, but they often eat rice with vegetables. They always have some vegetables on the side. They have a water-based food group next to a sticky or starch-based food group to help process that along a little bit better. So on our end, the starch, though, that's the problem. Now, at the same time, men over 55 have 60% of the world's diabetes. Of the world's diabetes. I know the last I checked, the numbers were upwards of 130 million cases alone in China, alone in Japan, and alone in Taiwan. So, although they keep a slim body because they maintain certain food groups and they eat in a certain way, which is something that we're going to learn in our Zoom sessions. And throughout, we're going to separate the food groups. We're going to be eating certain food groups at certain times of the day regularly. We don't want to eat food groups that slow down the digestion early in the morning, okay? We want to eat food groups that have a lot of water early in the morning to speed up the metabolism, to hydrate the body, to slicken up the digestive tract, to get it ready to function, and to get the digestive tract ready to process the food that you do eat. So when you eat the heavier grains, you eat the things that have the flours, you eat all of these substances, now the body's hydrated, the colon is hydrated, and it's ready to function and process it properly, versus getting up in the morning and the first thing you do is dehydrate the cell further by eating some type of bread, eating some type of cheese, eating some type of meat. Even the meat is going to suck some water out of the system. So we have to keep that in mind.
Make sure you repeat the question being asked to you.
Yes, sir. And let me know when you have those questions.
First question is the sundown to sundown. I want a little more clarity on that.
All right. Okay. The first question from some of our online viewers is, why are we doing the sundown to sundown? So there's a few reasons, first of all, okay? One of them is that the Gregorian calendar doesn't make any sense. I just need to say it plainly. We function our days, our weeks, our months, and our years based off of a Gregorian calendar. In the Gregorian calendar, this is the newest version of a Roman calendar, because the predecessor was the Julian calendar, which Julius Caesar, which was also alive. And I'm going to go through it so you can understand it. He was alive when Christ was on this earth. There's even a scripture when they were speaking of taxes to Christ, and they were trying to catch him up, and asking him if he was going to pay his taxes. And he mentioned to him, hey, listen, we're going to give to Caesar what's Caesar's, and you're going to give to God what's God's, okay? And there was a coin of a Caesar coin and whatnot. So the reason I mention that is because at this time, before the Julian calendar, was a lunar calendar. Now, what is a lunar calendar? A lunar calendar is a biblical calendar. It is the earliest form of calendar that's actually expressed in written archaeological evidence, like not in theory or carbon dating. Okay, like there's proof that when this existed. It's not something that you have to trust science about or trust some type of theoretic testing system. So the lunar calendar functions a bit differently. The lunar calendar is based on the seasons overall, like it's versus the months, although there are months in the lunar calendar. The lunar calendar doesn't begin in the middle of the winter, first of all, okay? Because we're starting this regiment in the middle of the winter still, we want to start it with as much positive energy as possible because everything around us is actually dead and dying, okay? Plants are dead, everything is cold. There's not actually any new energy here. That's the confusion which started some type of resolution at the beginning of a Gregorian calendar, because the earth is not in rhythm with you. The earth is not in rhythm for a gun ho. The earth, and you can see it with the plants and you can see it with the animals. Everyone is hibernating. Everyone is going within. Everyone is working within. Everyone is preserving energy. Everyone is getting ready to become new again. Now, the lunar calendar, based on the Bible, expresses how the spring is actually the new year. Now, with the spring being the new year and basing everything that we do on the lunar cycle, we're also basing it on the functions of the moon and the sun. That is our clock. So as the sun comes up, the birds come up, the animals come up, and the humans should be coming up. Everything that's alive should come up. When you can see, when the greatest source of energy that we have is relevant, there, and readily available for us, we should be up. And when the sun comes down, as the moon comes up, as the energy shifts, the gravitational pull shifts on the earth, we should be resting. Okay? When the moon is up, it's a different energy. It's not as strong as the sun. It has different properties. It does something different to us than the sun would. Okay? The moon doesn't give us vitamin D, for example. The sun does. Okay? But like I said before, the moon controls the earth's waves, and we are 73% water. We're part of that. We have water inside of us, so the moon affects us as well. Being that melatonin only is created while we are asleep, while the sun is down, then we want to get as many sleep hours at the evening time while the sun is down as possible to maximize the restoration and the reparation period that the body is going through when it sleeps, because sleeping is not what we do before we go to work the next day. Sleeping is a period of the body repairing itself and conditioning itself and detoxifying itself. So we want to do it at the proper time frame. There is a flow. There are certain fruits that grow at certain times of the year. They are called in season. That's why we want to eat these grains, these whole grains in the season. The squashes, the wildlife, these are the grains for the season. Why? Because they're the highest in protein. They're the highest in iron. They're the most fulfilling. They're the perfect food for this time of the year when no one's trying to be out there. You're not going to the beach. You're not burning calories. You understand what I'm saying? And it's not causing inflammation. It's feeding your muscles. All of this stuff works in a balance. All of this works in harmony. The earth itself works in a harmonic way. We're out of tune. We're completely out of tune. We think the end of the day is at 12 o'clock in the middle of the night. But if I took all the clocks off the earth, everyone would be lost. As soon as the sun goes down, they wouldn't know what to do. What time is it now? It's darker than dark. How are you going to know? But if you're going from sundown to sundown, then there's a clear change in energy source. The moon, the sun has given us what it's given us throughout the day. It is picking itself and to give it to someone. And now the moon is coming up, and now there's a shift. We can see it. It's plain as day. Get it? Day. When the sun is down, the day is over. And then the next day begins. If you read in Genesis, it says, in the beginning, and the evening and the morning was the first day. And then the evening and the morning was the second. Not the morning and the evening, the evening and the morning. The God who created everything said that. That's why we do things in that manner. Because although technology has got us very distracted, very stimulated in so many different ways, there's still a truth about ourselves, and there's a truth about nature that exists. And that's why we find ourselves in the condition and the predicaments that we do. Because we're not aware and we're not conscious of these things. We think very shallow regularly. And we have to think things a little bit deeper. Do you want something to drink there? Mm-hmm. Somebody get, no worries there. Anybody want to help out? Grab a juice there. So falling in line from sundown to sundown is going to help us get our balance. It's an important effort that we have to put into ourselves. It's getting up in the morning, giving yourself some alone time, some peaceful time before everyone starts pulling your chain, before all the distraction starts coming. And we don't want to get up in the morning and grab the phone. We don't want to do that. We want to get up in the morning and just breathe. We just want to be appreciative that we're here for a moment, and then go with the flow from there. Go ahead, my brother.
Next question. Those that have signed up for the platinum package, do they pick up their items in store or will it be mailed?
Those who have signed up with the platinum package, do they pick up their items at home, at the store? Will it be mailed? All the platinum packages are going to be mailed. They are all. They should be in the mail today. They should be in the mail already. We have various ones going out on Monday if they're local though, because it's we're on Tuesday actually because Monday there's no shipping. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but we don't need anything in the package until Wednesday. That's the thing. So we wanted to make we waited to the last possible moment to make sure that it was as fresh as possible before we sent everything out. And throughout the class, if there is any spoilers of anything, we are dealing with organic, all natural products, no preservatives, no additives. If the refrigerator is a little bit warm, if it's in the door of the refrigerator versus the back of the refrigerator, it's often a little bit different temperature there. Those things can affect it. I did leave some instruction on freezing if you wanted to freeze some of the items until it was the appropriate time to consume them. But just reach out to me if there's anything. We don't have a problem shipping something out to anybody right away. But for the most part, all the packages online that were nationwide got sent out versus the ones that are local that are going to be overnight shipped to be delivered by Wednesday. All right.
Next question. So for day 3, it has for the work thing, it has the thing that has juice and fruit.
Yes, for day 3.
Can they eat the fruit as well?
For day 3, we don't want to eat the juice. We don't want fiber in the system. We want everything to be liquid. Yes, we don't want to use the digestive process. We don't want to use the digestive organs on day 3. At the end of the day, we don't need food like that. The truth is we need nutrition. Our cells, our bloodstream is based off water. So that means we need things in liquid form. We have an entire cellular structure that surrounds our digestive system to filter everything we eat and to squish it and to suck as much of the liquid out of it as possible so that the cell itself can do its job and move it into the bloodstream, filter it, from bad stuff, and then move the properties that it needs to into the bloodstream. At the same time, it's collecting toxicity from the bloodstream, getting it back in the digestive tract so it can get out of the body. Okay, that's how that functions at the end of the day. So on day 3, we want to consume as many liquids as possible because they're the most absorbent. They're going to be all liquid, they're going to absorb into the cellular structure. You're going to feel very fulfilled. After those 2 days, you're going to feel very refreshed. Start with water. It's going to fill you up. Okay, just start with water first. As much as you want to taste something, and your body is lacking minerals at that point. It wants minerals at that time, but we have to discipline it. We have to go through the process of disciplining our body, and we have to be in control. So with that said, we make sure that we're keeping a flow of liquids in and out of our system. It's not in a specific amount that we're going to be having. It's going to be a flow. Every time we urinate, every time the body releases some water, then we want to bring in some more liquid. Water, tea, sea moss. If your package gets there by that time, a little sea moss is okay if it gets there, but don't overdo it. I would do 1 tablespoon, and I would really stick to the liquids, to be honest with you, because the sea moss is going to be high in antioxidant. We want to give the body a lot of nutrition first. We don't want, the mucilage is not what we want right now. We want the water on the day 3. And then after that day 3 or towards the end of day 3, yes, then we can get into the sea moss regimen. We want to take the sea moss early in the morning, as early as possible, because it's a mucilage. It's going to slicken up the digestive tract and get it ready for daily function. So that when we are eating things, everything is ready to process quickly and come out of the body. One thing that a lot of people don't realize, a lot of bodybuilders come into the grocery store. They get a lot of capsules, they get a lot supplements and stuff like that. And they always get a lot of sea moss because it's a laxative for them. And it's very important for them to consume laxatives, but they're very damaging to the system. So they use sea moss and they use things that, different techniques that keep their digestive tract nice and slickened up so that they're not causing any constipation, so they can keep that ripple definition in their muscles and the tone that they have. So it is a technique. So using that as a mucilage is going to keep your digestive flow flowing. That's going to be one of the positive aspects and one of the reasons why you're going to be dropping weight. Normally in these 21 days, people use normally between 20 and 30 pounds, okay? So you can actually make a significant difference in a short amount of time when you're focused, when you're dedicated, when you're not distracted, when you're motivated, when you have a maximum amount of willpower, because things are going to be, sometimes inconvenient. Oh, well, it's inconvenient. Oh, well, I'm going to do it anyways. Oh, I don't want to. Oh, well, just do it anyways. Just do what's best for you.
The next question is only water from Monday sundown to Tuesday sundown, correct?
Yes. Only water from Monday sundown to Tuesday sundown. Only water, yes. Another question here?
Yeah. When you say juices, do you drink only fruit juice or you can have vegetable juice and juice?
Yes. So what kind of juices can we drink? More is liquids in general. So it's more about, water would be considered a liquid. Tea is a good liquid. Fruit juices, vegetable juices, green juices. So if you have like kale or, mangoes and cantaloupe and cucumber juice, and if you have a juicer, put all the vegetables in it. But try to stick to the non-inflammatory food list that we have inside of our package. Stick to the fruits that are there specifically, so that we can avoid seedless fruits, so that we can avoid hybrid fruits too, okay? Right now, we want to eat as clean as possible. We want to reset the body as best as could. And as we move forward, guaranteed, I will show you the proper accommodations that you make and the proper transitional moves that you can make to buy yourself some time with minimizing the damage, okay? But just stick to it. That's the important part. Getting this stuff started and sticking to it while we consistently converse in the emails and through the Zoom sessions, and I consistently feed you the information that you are going to be consuming to be ready for the next day, to be ready for the next challenge. That's the key to it, okay? So making sure you're getting into the Zoom sessions, making sure you're asking the questions, you're making the phone calls, and just don't act out on impulse. Just don't do what you want to do at this point. Take better care of yourself. Stand on it. You know what I mean? If someone else came and told you, hey, I want to kill you in 5 years. I'm going to stab you a little bit every day. You're going to be, are you crazy? No, I'm not going to let you do that. That's going to hurt me, and then you're going to kill me. No, but we do that to ourselves, okay? Consciously and unconsciously. The things that we don't know and the things that we don't understand. We wrestle with because we don't understand them. Well, we're going to make them clear. We're going to make them clear so that we can, so guilt can kick in. So that we can say, hey, you know what? Accountability has to start somewhere. I'm not ignorant of it anymore. I understand it. But with that brings an arsenal of information that you can use to convince yourself to do the right thing. That's the key. The information, the education about it. That's what you want to always have in a pen and paper, ready to jot down ideas, ready to jot down rebuttals against yourself, ready to jot down facts about the situation, remembering, hey, this is not a food. Why am I even thinking about it like that? Oh, man, I love this. Why am I using this word with something that has got me in such a tough spot? No, I hate what it's doing to me. This is, it's an enemy, and we have to treat it like what it is, So a little bit there. A little extra.
No compromise.
All right, Miss Johnny, another question?
When we're able to eat, how can we find these recipes because I'm not good?
Yes, so when you're able to eat, how can we find the recipes? The recipes will be emailed to you guys before the eating begins, okay? One of the important parts of doing this here and having the food here available for you guys so you guys can see what you can create. Everyone can do this. We're just not taught this. We're not encouraged to do it. But if we're smart, if we're conscious, if we're intentional, we can eat in a very healthy way, in a very inexpensive way that does nothing but benefit us, make us feel great, help everyone around us. There's nothing wrong with that. One of the techniques you want to use is when you cook the grains, Cook them early in the week, probably like on a Sunday, and cook a whole amount for the week if you want to. Okay, you can take it out of the refrigerator every day and just kind of flash fry it or flash warm it up or steam it, throw it in the oven, crisp it up a little bit. When we serve our meals to go next door, we have them in oven-safe containers so people can put them right in the oven and avoid the microwave. But that's what, cook the grains because they take the longest to cook on one day of the week. And then what you want to keep up with throughout the week is the produce, the fresh fruits, the fresh vegetables, the fresh greens. Get that as fresh as possible regularly, to throw into the mix, into the grains. A lot of this we're going to speak in the Zoom session as well, but it's good that we touch on it, making sure that we're going to be eating at a certain flow. We don't want to eat grains in the morning. We never want to eat grains in the morning. Not oatmeal, not if it's an alkaline grain. Even though it's healthy for us, it slows down the digestive tract. In the morning, the body needs water. It needs things that have water in them. We have to start getting into the flow of how our body functions on its own and stop trying to force it to function how we selfishly want it to in reality. So you wake up in the morning, the cells get breakfast first, and that's called water. Spring water, distilled water will do. Try to avoid tampered with water, something that says alkalinized water. I would avoid that. You don't know the process. That means it's processed, and we can't prove that they're alkalinizing it. We want God-given water. That would be spring water. Usually spring water is neutral, 7.0, or alkaline. We do have it in store as well, and we can refer you guys to different brands, so you can look for those items in your local area. So that's what we want. We want to have that flow. We want to wake up in the morning. We want to have the flow of hydration. We want to get the body going, making sure it has all the liquid that it needs to start processing, to start moving around, to start doing what it needs to do. And then later on in the days when you start getting the things that have more dietary fiber, the things that are going to stick to us a little bit more. And you do that towards the end of the day because we know we're going to stop eating at a certain time of the day now, right? So I would say we shouldn't be eating past sundown as well. Okay? For what? Because it's not going to process. We're going to be sitting in the bed, laying down horizontal with food on our chest. That's a problem. Now we're going to be talking and turning all night because the body's trying to process the food. And we can't even sleep because the organs, you just turned on the machine. You don't want to turn on your stomach when you're trying to turn down your brain. You got to be in harmony. You see? So we don't eat at night. We let we eat at a respectful amount of time so that when we can lay down, the body is already, the food is already down there in the intestine. It's not going to, and sometimes it'll get out of you in that night. Once you normalize your digestion, go do this for about 2 weeks. It's about 4 to 6 hour digestive process regularly. You can time it. You can schedule your day. You ain't got to worry about nothing. You already know how it's going to go, but you have to stick to it. You have to do things in a proper way. And that's why, those heavier grains, because you're stopping eating for a longer period of time, they maintain you much better. And that's the first thing that comes out of your system on the next day. And funny, they don't ferment. So it's good. It's going to, brushing up against the intestinal walls, cleaning that colon out. And that's exactly why you want to drink water first thing in the day and then have some tea with high antioxidity to try to flush more water through it to get the residue of the toxicity that's still in the system from the overnight restoration process.
Next question, if someone is having a problem with sleeping, how do they combat that during this process?
If someone is having a problem with sleeping, how do they combat that during the session? Your sleep should be normalizing during the session. Definitely, whoever that is too, make sure you reach out to me in an email so that we can go through some techniques and a few things. But your sleep will be normalizing. Well, one thing we're going to be telling ourselves to get to bed as close to sundown as possible. We're going to minimize all the reasons that we shouldn't. And remember I told you guys to call all your friends and tell them all the good news about all the good things that you're going to be doing? The first friend that calls you and asks you to go out to drink or go out to have some fun that is going to put you in a compromising situation, you need to have a conversation with that friend. Because you're trying to accomplish something for you. Why wouldn't they be with you all the way? Why would they try to pull you away from something that they know you called them about and was so excited about? You have to reevaluate that. I'm not saying they're not your friend. I'm just saying that they're not understanding certain things. They're not putting what's best for you in front of what's best for them. at that moment. And we just have to bring it to the consciousness and say, hey, you ain't forget that, did you? You know? But then there might be a friend that said, hey, man, how you doing on the diet? Everything going good? Yeah, it's going good. Let me know if I need you. Yeah, you keep them around. You keep them real close. Somebody who's trying to cheer you on and helping you, along the way. But more important in that conversation is the one that you have in your own mind. Now, pay attention to it. Because usually we're the most negative. We're the first ones that bust our own bubble. Fear, doubt, all these things play a part. Guilt, shame. When you're trying to do something nice for yourself, oh, I don't deserve it. All these things, we deserve it. We deserve to be healthy. We deserve to be able to put our best out there. We deserve to be able to communicate with the Most High. You understand? How much communication can we have when we consistently put our bodies in an acidic state? We consistently put this brain that is a body part in an environment where it's feeding off of less than good substances. It can only think so far. Cleaning the body out. The Bible always speaks about fasting. And if you really want to clean it out, if you want to clean it out to a spiritual level, then you fast and pray. The longer that you can go without food, the more you understand yourself. And I'm telling you, you become hyper aware. We're going to go through it for these first 2 days. If you have a moment of difficulty, reach out. And I'm going to be reaching out. I'm going to be checking up. And if you guys don't reply in time, I'm going to probably be calling you. You're going to be like, oh man, what is this? What did I get myself into right now? This guy is calling me at work? No, what are you doing? But yeah, don't compromise. Yes, ma'am. You don't go, so we're going to work it out. We're going to find a way to get you as much rest as possible. We're going to find a way to get you the supplements that you need until we can find a regulation in your schedule. And that's what we're going to be looking for. And then we're going to pray on it. Because, we can manifest things in life. And talking to the Most High is a great way to do that, letting them know the positive things that you want to receive, the positive things that you want to manifest in your life. It opens the door for him to work with you. You see what I'm saying? Versus trying to put effort into negative things. Usually, it always creates different problems and different challenges. And it's like, oh man, I got myself in a bigger mess now, instead of doing things the right way, even though it takes a little bit longer and whatnot. So I would definitely, on that end, we're going to reach out, and touch base a little bit, with the Most High, and it becomes, this is really a spiritual journey, Miss Johnny. It really is, and I know we've seen like the body is weak and we have all these concerns. What if this happens? And what if this happens? And what if this happens? We can't live like that. We can't live based on the worst case scenario always. We're never, go ahead. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. No, you're not crazy. You're conscious. That's what happens, because when you become aware, when you run into something like Dr. Sabi, you learn something. You learn something that you've never heard before and you've never understood before. And then you come to find out that it's true. And then what happens is the confliction begins, because now you have something that was ingrained in your mind since you were a child, and you have information that is conflicting with that, and it causes inner turmoil that we have to go through. But we have to, those are the moments that change our life. Those are the moments we should be on the lookout for. The moments where we can reinvent ourselves. Okay? So that's what you do. We shouldn't be thinking negative first. We have to think positive. We've put our body through so much garbage, and we've never once asked this many questions. The moment we said we're going to treat ourselves good, we got 100 questions to ask about it. Why, where, who said, why should we do this? Why should we do that? You think about that. But we ain't not one time went to McDonald's and asked them, let me see the ingredients. Say, I want to make sure this is really chicken. You see, our way of thinking is not right. We have to put things in the proper perspective. We're not crazy. We're conscious. Now the conflict is there. Now we're going to address it. So go ahead.
I remember my dead father. I was
Let me hold on here. Let me get you this right here. You don't have to worry about nothing. I was anticipating this. So, well, that was a little clumsiness, but all right, just pass this down to her right behind you.
Before my dad died, I was married to an addict. He was a carpenter. Before my dad passed away, I took care of him until he passed away. I was married to a carpenter by trade. He was an addict. My dad told me, stop chasing after him and trying to make him stop using. Said because if he want to live, he'll stop. If he don't, he'll die. And I kept that with me. Even with this session, I keep thinking of his words, and I know I'm at the right place because, I have alcoholic son that I'm having a problem with, disrespectful, and I'm going through a lot of changes. But I'm not. I'd rather spend my money here from now.
Oh, no worries, Miss Johnny.
I appreciate that, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. All of our life's experiences really shape us, and most of us are still dealing with a lot of the trauma from how we were handled when we were children. But one of the best things that we can do, and I mean this with all my heart, is to forgive ourselves. And in order to do that, we have to forgive everyone else first too. So although we might not have been handled with the most care in our life all the time, we also have not handled ourselves with the most care. But that at this stage, we still can. At this moment in your life right now, you can do everything positive for yourself. You believe in yourself, including believing in yourself, including looking at yourself as an overcomer. You're an overcomer. We are called to overcome. We're supposed to be enduring. You understand? That means it doesn't matter if you're in first place, second place, third place, as long as you don't quit. You see? As long as you endure, because whoever endures is going to win in the long run. You see? You're going to get to your destination. You're going to get into your purpose, your moment at the appropriate time, at the appointed time. Only if you do what's best for you, though. Absolutely. It starts right now. God is waiting. God, absolutely. I told you, we are a body. He gives us enough to have a body for us to express ourselves with all our creativity and all our talents. But at the same time, we are considered a vessel for him to work through and for others to work through. You see? And then at the same time, we're considered a temple for him to dwell within. So I mean, we have treat ourselves like we're royalty. We don't feed ourselves certain foods. We should never feed ourselves certain foods. A few of these examples, and maybe you have trouble with them, maybe you shouldn't, but swine, the Bible says we shouldn't eat it. There's nothing scientifically that says it's healthy about it. It poisons our body. It gives us parasites and worms. It's an animal that is very good for the earth. It's very good for the ecosystem, but it's not designed to be consumed by human beings. Another one is shellfish. These animals sit at the very bottom of the water, completely away from human beings, unless we don't build some type of boat and some type of contraption and send a machine out there and go and pick that stuff up from the bottom of the ocean. We wouldn't be able to swim down there and hold our breath long enough to actually get these things out of there, because nature put a perimeter between us and them. For a reason. He put a body of water between us and them so that we wouldn't eat these animals. But what do? They clean the water. They consume 99% of the mercury that's in the ocean. Does our community know that when you're eating shellfish, that you're eating a heavy metal that's causing a rapid, expedition of dementia, Alzheimer's disease, cognitive function issues, all of these things? Because it's a heavy metal. They get attracted to the magnetism of the brain. There's electricity going on in here. Somebody's driving a car in here and handling business. Yeah. What was that? Yeah. There's and at the end of the day, when you want to look at what is the problem in our bodies, it's a lack of oxygen. Because of the things that we eat put a barrier between the oxygen that we need and the organ that needs the oxygen to function. So that's why these inflammatory substances like the gluten, like the starch, and like the dairy, These are inflammatory substances. These are things that shouldn't be in the human body. They're unfit for human consumption. We don't call them food. They are the op. They're the enemy. That's how we have to look at these things. You know, there's other. Did you guys enjoy the food today? You see what I'm saying? This is an option every single day. You can eat like this. You can cook like this. You can enjoy yourself. We didn't even have guacamole and these mushrooms here. All the different things that we can make with it when we have a full, a full opportunity or days after days. We can get really creative with this. We just have to change a few things out. It's really not as hard as we think it is. Move this one, put this one in replace. Move this one, put this one in replace. Let's hold this steady. Let's do this consistently. Let's get a hold of this. Okay, we're good. Now, what's the next thing that got to move out of the way? Now that I learned how to do it. And then we keep on coaching ourselves and keep cheerleading ourselves and keep picking ourselves up and keep saying positive things to ourselves because the body works in a funny way. It's conditioned. You're going to learn about yourself and what you really think when you're aware in your mind now. When you're ready for yourself, when you're aware for yourself, when you're sitting here waiting on the thought to come up because you want to know if it's going to be a good one or a bad one, so you're ready to address it. I do it all the time. Yes, ma'am.
What causes snoring?
What causes congestion in the sinuses? That's why you have to open your mouth to get oxygen to your lungs. So usually the normal culprits, like I said, and this is exactly where we're starting with gluten, starch, and dairy. When you're eating that, first of all, it's coating your throat, it's coating your thyroid, it's inflaming your esophagus, it's putting gluten and starch, all these sticky substances all over your esophagus because it has to go through the esophagus to get to the stomach. It's leaking into your bronchial tubes, it's leaking into your lungs. That's why when you have a cough and you feel that rumbling in the chest, that means it went from the sinuses into the actual lungs. When it gets to the lungs, it's considered pneumonia. When it gets to the bronchial tube, it's considered bronchitis. Okay, it's a good thing when you have it in the sinuses still. That means it's still in the head area, but you want to get it out while it's up there because once it gets down here, now you have to counter gravity. That's when you're flipping up phlegm because the esophagus is pulsating, getting the phlegm to your throat so you can catch it and get it out of the system. You have to recognize when your body is talking to you. That's what that is, okay? Like I said, the body talks to us all day long. Every time we use the washroom, the body is talking to us, letting us know the condition of what we have or where we're at. If you got, your eyes are a certain color, your nails are kind of frail, if your hair is kind of falling out, all of this means something. Okay, and most of it, all of it means a lack of oxygen. The question is where and how and what are the details of it. Go ahead.
If anyone is on diabetes medication or heart medication, do they continue through this process?
Yes, we're going to work through that. Just send me an email. Stop not feeding the digestive system for a few days. It's not known to hurt anybody. There's no clinical studies that show a harmful effect. Yeah, absolutely. Especially when we're hydrating the body first. It's one of the main reasons why we're drinking water that whole first day. But we have to clean the body. The body is going to have withdrawal symptoms. It's going to happen, okay? But we have to go through that process. We can't function off fear. I'm there every step of the way. Again, we've done this with, I would say, at least over 100 people, individually have done these fasts, and there's nothing but positive reviews on it. It's not something weird we're doing. We're simply emptying the intestines for a moment naturally without taking some type of chemical that blows our butt up, okay, like they do in the hospital. And then we're going to start from the beginning. We're going to start with hydration. We're going to start with fruits and vegetables. We're feeding, and it's just a small period of time. A couple sun cycles, a couple of evenings of rest. That's all. We just got to get out of our head about it, and we got to move forward. Stay hydrated. If anyone ever feels any type of lightheadedness or whatnot, absolutely call somebody. If you have to drink something on the day that you're fasting, drink something, okay? Don't be silly either. If you're not feeling right, the body is also communicating with you, okay? You might have some type of adverse effect. I'll tell people to eat blueberries all the time, but if somebody's allergic to blueberries, I'm not going to tell them to eat that, So, but communication is the key here, okay? We're going to run through a bunch of questions. If you have diabetes, if you have a glucose monitor, have it with you. If you don't have one, pick one up tomorrow morning. We don't have a Zoom session until 8 o'clock on Tuesday, 8 a.m. So let's go ahead and get our levels in the morning. Let's understand the condition of the body before we start figuring out what to do about things. You know, if you have high blood pressure, make sure you have a high blood pressure machine. They only cost about $30 on Amazon, or you can pick one up at Walmart. Okay, if we're dealing with these issues, we should be monitoring them. We should be looking for the patterns and the habits that trigger them. We need to start being hypersensitive and aware to what's going on. We need to be tuned in. We can't just be eating on the go. If you're worried about fasting but ain't worried about rice, beans, potatoes, cheese, dairy, and all these other stuff, then we got to reel that in, and we got to focus it in, and we just need a little bit of confidence, a little bit of willpower, a little bit of resiliency, and we're gonna get through it. Okay, no worries. Absolutely. Question here. Yes, the question is about meal prep. If we have meal prep, if we have a program or delivery, go ahead. Yes. Yeah. So for people who are busy, people who just don't have time to put it together, but they have the resources to still live a healthy lifestyle. Praise God. Contact us, and we will have some arrangements as far as to prepare food. We do it normally now. We have meals to go in store regularly throughout the week. We have, sometimes various dishes, but if it's something to that extent, then we can accommodate them. It's not something that we formally have in place because we're going through a growth period and a transitional period right now. Having to coordinate these things and making sure that we have the proper supplies regularly. But I know if somebody's interested in it, we can put something together and we can work that out for sure. Yes, ma'am.
If you have a esophagus problem, like perhaps every once in a while your food is stuck, with this 21-day detox help that problem?
Possibly, but we would need to know a little bit more about the issue itself. What do you mean by stuck?
Well, I think mine coming from hernias because I refuse to take surgery. I've had it for years now and developed 2 more.
Mm-hmm.
And, it messes with your digestive system.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to brush up against some hernias and pop them out, especially when you're putting sticky stuff in the system. It's going to calcify. Absolutely. It's going to happen all the time. Uh-huh.
Because I noticed when I was, even with you before I relapsed.
Mm-hmm. No worries. We all go through this, This is why we're a community. This is,
Because I thought I was going to die. So I got in touch.
No, praise God. You are all right. You're right here, right now.
And like I said, I felt so much better.
Yes, wonderful. Well, the initial thing was you gave your intestines a break. I told you stop eating, and you stopped eating. That was the first thing. You started hydrating yourself, and I know you said you kind of went back and forth about it, but we're not going to go back and forth right now. Yeah, no, we're going to be all right now. For the next 3 weeks, I'm on you like Sergeant Slaughter. Come on. I'm going to be specific. It's going to be like you're my favorite student in the class, actually. You're going to feel like I'm picking on you. You'll be like, can you give me a break? No, I didn't know the answer. Why are you asking me? No, I need you there. I need you engaged, though. I need you engaged. I need you motivated. I need you seeing the bigger picture, All right. We're about ready to wrap this up. Everybody okay there? Wonderful. Once again, I would like to thank everybody for taking the time, for making the effort, for, coming up with the resources. Go ahead. Sorry about that. Yes, next door. Yep. Anybody who's here, we already have the packages ready next door. But again, I want to thank everybody. Did you have another next question before we go here? Yes, officially it starts tomorrow in the evening time. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow during the day, you want to hydrate yourself. You want to prepare yourself. I would say, me personally, tomorrow I'm going to be on an all liquid diet already. I'm gonna, I'm kind of used to this process a bit. I'm getting ready to just empty my body out and feel wonderful. I really need to reset myself. I will be drinking water, some smoothies. If I do eat any fibers tomorrow, it's probably going to be some softer fibers, maybe some guacamole or something like that. Something that's easily digestible, something not to frustrate my digestive tract. I'm not trying to put a bunch of bread in my system before I try to fast. And then I'm going to, I might not even get all of that out of there based on this process, because gluten is not going to process through the intestines. It's going to get stuck somewhere. I'm going to cause a mess in there. So I don't want to do that. I want to keep I want every food that I eat from here on out is going to be something liquid or has some type of liquid value to it, okay? So fruit, vegetables, and greens for the most part, okay? If I'm going to eat anything, it's going to be something like that, yeah. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to the challenge. I'm looking forward to see what I'm about. I'm looking at it from a positive perspective. I want to accomplish something different. I want to feel something new about me. I want to take myself somewhere. I want to prove to myself that I care about myself. All these things I'm consistently have in my mind as I go throughout day and age, because I'm still human like you. And I'm going to be working. I'm going to be hustling and bustling, and that's okay. I know how to preserve my energy. I know how to not, one thing I don't let things do is get me too emotional. I'm a very compassionate person, but I'm not necessarily emotional. I don't get mad about certain things and let them overwhelm me for periods of time where I'm exhausting my energy and then things like that throughout the day. Keep in mind, we're having a detox. It's a part of a detox. We're not only cleaning what's going into the mouth, but we're also cleaning what's going into the ears. We're cleaning what's going into the eyes. We're cleaning our daily habits. We're deep cleaning, so to speak. It's all part of the same journey. Why are we going to clean the body and not think about making sure the mind and the spirit is okay? So all of that matters, finding out what am I putting in the body? What am I letting around the body? What is the space that I'm living in? All of these things matter. Because externally, everything around you is really a manifestation or a reflection of what's inside of us, the people included. That's why they say, I'll show you about yourself. You show me your best 5 friends. And there's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to people relating to that extent, So we're gonna turn the mirror. We're gonna become our own enemy for a few days. We're going to question everything we say and everything we think and our responses and our impulsive reactions to everything. We're going to question it when you're riding down the street and you were just okay. You were saying, hey, man, I'm strong. I'm going to do this. And all of a sudden, there goes McDonald's. You're going to have that conversation. Yeah, it's going to happen. You're going to see the lights and you're going to remember it. They triggered you since you was a little kid. They know it's there. They're going to trigger you the rest of your life. They spend billions of dollars on colors, on bright colors. Because the moment it catches your cognitive function, your peripheral, you look at it, and then there's words there that they want you to consume. It's called an impression online. When it comes to digital marketing, they call that an impression. So that's the key here. The products are a byproduct. We're attacking the mind here. We have a problem with our way of thinking because we are bringing ourselves to sickness. And it's us. We're the boss. Can't nobody tell us nothing. We're not. We just have to come to the realization and to the acceptance that we ain't been doing the best job, and we're going to work together now. We're going to work with a team of people who have an understanding of these things, that pretty much live these things out, think about it every day. There's expertise there. There's certificates there that help you understand that the people are working with knowledge about things, and that's what you need, some confidence. And every single day you stay in tune, you're going to be more confident. Every single day you do the right thing, you're going to love yourself that much more. You're going to be that much less willing to compromise. Imagine somebody who goes to the gym once a week, once every couple of weeks. You haven't sweat enough to have a problem with skipping a day, you see? But if you take the time, go through the regimen every single day, put in the sweat equity, every aspect of it to get there and to do it every day, you're going to value it much differently. I'm not doing all of this to throw it away. Why would I just waste my own time? Like I ain't got nothing to do. No, I'm not doing that. No, if I'm going to work out, I'm going to stay on top of this diet. No, I'm not going to throw that away. Why would I work hard and then throw it away? We don't do that with money, do we? A lot of times we do, though. That's the thing. The way of thinking, you can't divorce that way of thinking from the rest of the areas in our life. You'll be surprised when you get to know the intricacies about yourself, and then you see that leaking into all the other areas that might lead to exacerbate some of the issues that got us eaten out of hand in the first place. So if we're lacking a little lack of discipline here and a little lack of discipline there with food, I'm sure we're lacking it in other areas. We can't disassociate that character trait from the area of our life that we're working on. It's a character trait. So that's why we have to approach it this way. We have to attack our mind right away. We have to put a mirror on ourselves. First thing we do, put a mirror on. We're talking to ourselves for the next 6 days. We're in deep conversation with ourselves. We're going to get to understand some things. We're going to have to accept some things about ourselves. And we're going to say, okay, I got it. I'm wrong. I don't know why I'm thinking that. I'm going to have to start disciplining myself. When the thought comes about, I'm going to have to respond in a certain way every time to let myself know that there's a new boss in town. And it don't come from here. It comes from here. All right. This thing is a good follower. It will follow you all the way to the grave. It will push you to it. It believes in you. Once you teach the body and the mind what to do, get addicted to something. Tell me how hard it is to get out of that. That's how hard it is. People deal with addiction. They can't get out of what they're doing because it feels good. There's a chemical reaction that goes on in the body that gets them to want to experience that again and again and again and again. But that's artificial. What it's really doing is inflaming the body, it's getting us sick, and it's deepening our bad way of thinking. Now we think we're getting away with something, and all of a sudden, heart attack at 40, hypertension at 50, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and it all comes about at one time. It's like bam, bam, wing, thank you, ma'am. You know how they go? We thought we were getting away with something. We're not. So right now, we could turn it around, though. It takes the body one full calendar to regenerate each organ. That means, yeah, absolutely. That means you do the right thing for a year, and you'll be a completely different person. Inside and out. Inside and out. I mean, just the energy in your everyday life, All right, I think I got y'all hostage now. Hold on. I got y'all hostage now. All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Again, I appreciate everybody taking the time to come out, asking all the questions. We're going to be in tune. This is the beginning. This is just the kickoff. I wanted to make sure that we got this done in the right spirit, to make sure that everybody understood the objective, understood what we're going to be working on, and that it's going to take a lot of communication and teamwork to make the dream work, okay? I appreciate you guys. And
As Big Pharma continues to grow and increase to billions and trillions of dollars in profit, we the people continue to become ill and even die. How can our government guarantee us healthy organic food when private interests like Bill Gates own over 200,000 acres of farmland and distributes to stores where our families shop? Time to reconsider your options. And you can do so at TheNaturalBranches.com. EBT and link friendly. The old guard of medicine has failed us. It's time we check our unbalanced lifestyles with a new balance, and we can do so. Fights cancers, heart disease, and inflammation. Prayer, fasting, and a natural, organic, plant-based diet. Our Creator did say His herbs are for our meat and medicine. It's time we checked our unbalanced lifestyles with a new balance, and we can do so at TheNaturalBranches.com.